Hey guys, I'm back, and in this video I will be showing you guys the brand new 2025 Red Hive Guide meta. In this video I will be going into the Red Hive needed to become an official Red Hive, the Beequips you will need, the stats you need on all your amulets, and this time I will be going over the mutations that you need on your bees, which I forgot to do last Red Hive Guide, and other small information that could be helpful for future Red Hives. Also, I'm a little sick, so if I sound sick, that's why. This guide is made by the MetaBee Discord server, so if you want to see this video's entire guide or any other guides they may have, the Discord server is linked in the description and in the pinned comment. Anyway, without much else to add, enjoy the video. First, let's start with the actual hive. Ideally, these are the following bees you will need in a red hive: 11 precise bees, 9 spicy bees, 9 vector bees, 2 carpenter bees, 4 tadpole bees, a digital bee, a festive bee, a bear bee, a tabby bee, a crimson bee, a photon bee, a rad bee, a Riley bee, a commander bee, a brave bee, a lion or rage bee, a shy bee, a hasty bee, a basic bee, and a buoyant bee. Ideally, all these bees should be gifted for their maximum potential. In case you don't have a Melody Charm Bracelet Beequip, you can run a rage or a lion bee instead of a carpenter or vector bee. Your choice. Now, whether you run a rage or a lion bee depends on the attack you have on your stick bud, your cog, and your king beetle amulets. This is because you will have to have all your precise bees with at least 50 base attack. This is so they can have the maximum gather amount from their target practice ability token. This is also because precise bees pollen from target practice scales with their base attack. So ideally you want to have at least 50 base attack for all your precise bees. Anyway, onto the mutations. For precise bees, you can either have move speed or attack, with move speed being slightly better. For your spice bees, you can either have attack, convert amount, bee ability rate, or move speed. For your vector bees, you can either have move speed or bee ability rate. For your tadpole or buoyant bees, you can have move speed, energy, or bee ability rate. On all of your non-mythics or event bees, you should have move speed. On your digital bee, you should have gather amount percentage. This is the only bee that really requires gather amount, since its smiley token scales in power with its wide gather amount. Your photon, crimson, tabby, and festive bee should have bee ability rate and move speed. And for your bear bee, you should have bee ability rate. Now onto the Beequips you're going to need for a red hive. 2 toy drums on a Riley bee and a brave bee for bee ability hive bonus and the hasty token. 2 toy horns on a crimson bee and a rage/lion bee for the melody token ability and a bee ability pollen hive bonus. 1 kazoo for a buoyant bee for melody, critical power, and a super critical power hive bonus. 1 whistle on your commander bee for haste and a super critical power bonus. You can also get melody from this, but it's extremely rare. 2 smiley stickers on a hasty and tabby bee. You really need honey mark ability token on this, and if you're not able to get it, I will explain some replacements later. 1 pink shade on rad bee for super critical power and super critical chance hive bonus on them. 2 poinsettias on your tadpole bees with high red pollen hive bonuses. 1 rose headband on a basic bee with a high rose field pollen and high red field capacity high bonus. 1 sweatband on digital bee with high right gather amount percentage as a base stat. Also try getting a red, white, or blue pollen as a hive bonus depending on your color. In this case, your color would be red. 2 paper angels on a photon and a shy bee for token link and bee ability pollen hive bonus. That list I mentioned was assuming you have all 15 Beequip slots, which most people don't. So if you only have 12, then you can remove a poinsettia and the 2 paper angels. If you are unable to get some of the more expensive Beequips mentioned, here are some optional Beequips. The festive wreath, peppermint antenna for bear bee with bee ability rate, paper clips for bee ability pollen and token link, and reindeer antlers for baby love. Now for the amulets and the stats you'll need to have on them. Supreme Star Amulet. Your Supreme Star Amulet should have critical chance, instant conversion, pollen, bee ability rate, or bee gather pollen, Bee gather pollen is only used if you have a really good digital bee. And finally, red pollen. Your stickbug amulet should have +2 red bee attack, red pollen, or pollen, but red pollen is a little better than normal pollen, 10% bee attack, and +1 bee attack. Your ant amulet should have bee attack, or pollen, critical chance, critical power, or red pollen. Your cog amulet should have red pollen, event bee ability pollen, or bee gather pollen, or flame pollen, super critical power, red instant conversion, and bee attack. Your moon amulet should have 8% honey per pollen and +10 bond from treats. Your snail amulet should have goo conversion, goo, and pollen. Your king beetle amulet should have +1 red bee attack or +1 bee attack, strawberry pollen, and mushroom pollen. If all of your precise bees have +50 base attack, then instead of having +1 bee attack on your ant amulet, you can have 5% pollen on your ant amulet instead. Now for the final thing, your nectar priority. This goes without saying, but invigorating is the most important one. The second most is refreshing, the third most is satisfying, the fourth most is motivating, and the least important is comforting. Ideally, when you boost, you're gonna need the first four. Having the last one is just for more honey per pollen. Alright, that's mostly it for this Red Hive guide. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions and I'll try to respond to them as quickly as possible. Or you can just join my Discord server, link is in the description. Make sure to check out the MetaBee Discord server for their other guides, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!